Hello, good morning. Hi, my name is Kim Mims, and I go by the personal brand, Keep It Moving Productions or Consulting. What my presentation here is about today is about increased city services for film production in Sacramento. I've been a longtime advocate and activist for filmmaking in the Sacramento area. I spent some time working in the Sacramento Film Commission. I've also done some volunteering with our local film group, California Film Foundation, which runs the Sacramento International Film Foundation. And currently I'm on the board of Access Sacramento, which is our community media center. And I'm trying to spearhead movements in that position to do more workforce training with the youth in video production. The problem is we don't have a city-sanctioned film office in Sacramento. Yes, we do have the Film Commission, but the Film Commission is structured under transient occupancy tax funding, which means the TOT tax. They get their funding from filling hotel room nights. So as far as reaching out, for productions to come here, the only way that happens if they're going to be filling up their hotel room nights, and that makes it a conflict of interest for local filmmakers who would like to work on these productions that come into town, such as Lady Bird. So the solution, I think, is a city-sanctioned film office that provides some type of funding specific to film initiatives to get filmmakers trained, to get them unionized, and to get them the skills to be able to work on productions that are coming to town. It's been a trend in Sacramento that as an aspiring filmmaker, you just leave the area. You know that there's not going to be a lot of work here. If you want to be successful, you leave Sacramento. Luckily, once they go off and become successful, that's Mr. Colin Hanks there. They usually come back to Sacramento and show their hometown a little bit of love. He was here in 2015 at the Sacramento International Film Festival, screening his movie, All Things Must Pass, which was a documentary about Tower Records owner and that whole movement there. The Sacramento Film Festival is run on a shoestring volunteer basis, as you can see here, there we go, as opposed to Sundance, where they have a plethora of volunteers. And I think that if Sacramento threw some more resources behind their film festivals, we could make it a tourism destination type event for the city. There's no competition in what I'm trying to do, only potential collaborators with the other film groups. As I mentioned, we have the Sacramento Film Commission, we've got these film groups in town, and we've got our local access center. And if we could just figure out a way to get everybody working together, I think we could really bolster the film product. One of the things that you need with film, it's an expensive hobby, is funding. And there are grants out there available, like with the Ford Foundation. They have a Just Films grant, and that's all they do is they give money for film funding. So if we could tap into some of those foundations and build relationships, also look for other grants, corporate sponsors, angels, investors, and some of that Measure U funding that's going to be available. For me, a position with the city of Sacramento would be a legacy position. My father, they created a position for him back in 1967 with the Parks and Recreation area. And he did such a fabulous job, they ended up naming a community center after him out in the Del Paso Heights area. So my mission is just to make it easier for local filmmakers to tell Sacramento's story, and that's through content creation and movie making. This is a movie that I produced last year called Thrifty Business, and really part of the movement, it's not about making movies for fun, it's about making movies that help tell Sacramento's story. I used real locations in making this movie, real aspiring models. They'll all be walking in Sac Fashion Week next week, and real filmmakers. And if you have time, I'd like to show you my movie, but just a little bit about the process of making this movie. I was inspired by Lady Bird. One of her locations was Thrift Town on El Camino. And I reached out to him and I said, hey, I have this idea for a movie. I'd like to use it as a location, kind of ride on the Lady Bird wave. But it was just too difficult to obtain a permit through Thrift Town operation. So that's another thing that we're looking at doing, is streamlining the permitting process for local filmmakers, just to make it easier for them to make movies. So I wasn't able to get a permit there because they had done the whole Lady Bird thing and wanted insurance and, you know, permit fees and all of this. And I'm just making a community movie for a community festival. I'm not making any money off of it. So to support the community and tell this community story, that's one thing that we're looking at doing. So if you have time,
Sheila. Nice, Sheila. Hi, Sheila. Hi. Hi. Are we all set for like the show? It's like 60 minutes.
The show?
Yeah. You're all set.
Yeah, we're good. We're good to go.
Yay,
We are so good to go.
Okay,
Yes,
you sure?
we are good.
You sure?
We are great. It's going to be great.
Okay, because we have like really, really big sponsors, and I really want to make sure that everything is good, because this really means a lot to Upcycle Pops.
We are good to go.
Oh my God, I knew I could count on you. Thank you so much. Oh my God, thank you so much. I
Okay.
love you.
Okay. Bye. Okay, bye.
these pictures. This is great. And then you can pass us. Please take a picture. Please.
Just on the camera, really quick. Okay, come on.
Come on, ladies.
Based on some of my input going through the creative economy, I said, hey, I think we need a film-sanctioned office, and they actually started looking at it. If you look in your packet there was just an article released in the Sacramento Business Journal that states that the city is looking at creating this office, and they have found funding for this office. So we're making strides in the right direction. Any questions?
All right, so we get to ask the first question, which is, how can this community help you? What would you like us to do to help you?
Well, like I said, there's several components to the filmmaking industry. One is filmmaking, another is connecting with your community media center, Access Sacramento, with all of the upstarts happening in Sacramento, all of this new innovation. I think that the city should really tap into the filmmaking resources necessary to capture and tell this story. I don't know if anybody has any city connections, anybody in the city's ear that you could talk to that would definitely be helpful, but just using some of your filmmaking resources like Access Sacramento. If you have a nonprofit and you're looking to have a promotional piece made, reach out to your local community center and see what they can do for you.
All right, I'll let you, here, Thomas. Kick us off. Thank you.
Excellent, Cam. I actually love how you turned it into keep it moving. Clever. One story that I guess it's not really a question, but I hope that you could kind of share that I think would help connect this to, I guess, more kind of economic development and startups in the area. So I've worked with startups in the area that they want to make videos of their products, and they want to show their products being used outside. And when we go outside, the filmmaker says, well, you need permits, insurance, talk to the police department, the fire department, and it's like all we want to do is get a clip with a small video. And with the amount of marketing that's going into now in video marketing, that means everyone's basically doing it renegade style, and it's not necessarily, I guess, the most conducive to bringing in talent or building your company if you're automatically starting off from a place of working against the law. So whenever you talk to them, please always remind them that companies can't even make films outside with their products.
You're absolutely correct. In trying to produce my movie Thrifty Business, when they gave me the kibosh on shooting in their location, I said, okay, well, I'll just cheat it and, stage an area inside somewhere and maybe just shoot an exterior of the building to make it look like it. And they're like, no, you can't even be on the property without, a permit naming the city of Sacramento with $1 million additional insured. So that was part of my pitch to the city is, we need a more streamlined process for filmmakers. I mean, I'm just trying to make a little community film, and I have to go through the same permitting process as a big budget Hollywood movie. So I really think that they need to look at streamlining that, and that's part of my pitch to the city.
You kind of answered my question. I was just wondering, were you trying to shoot outside of the venue, or was it strictly indoors? Sounds like it was strictly indoors.
Initially, it was indoors, and of course, you get your establishing shots of the outside of the building. But once I couldn't make the permits happen, I said, okay, maybe I'll just come and grab an establishing shot. I was just, being honest. I didn't think she was going to shut me down for shooting an establishing shot. And it's like you said, you have to start from a place of being illegal to begin with. I'm like, how are you going to stop me if that's what I want to do? But I just went and found another location, upscale thrift. They were very accommodating. So sometimes you just have to be innovative. And as far as my ladybird hook, my assistant director was like, let's just go shoot out by the mural with the peacock, and that's where you could see we shot our poster there, and that's also a part of the movie. So you do have to be innovative. Yes.
So it's good that you're working on this problem for the city of Sacramento, but why do you have to work on this problem? Why has the city not just either expanded the existing office that kind of mostly revolves around hotel rooms, or make a separate office, fund it, hire you? Why are we doing all this?
Yeah, that sounds like a perfect plan. Maybe we could use you as my pitch man for this proposal. But I think that there was just really a disconnect where the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing as far as the city and Visit Sacramento is concerned. Initially, when they started the Creative Edge process, I went to a meeting. I said, oh, you know, because film was not even a category when they began this Creative Edge Arts project. And I thought it was important that they see filmmaking as an actual art. So I said, hey, what about filmmaking? What about the film product? And they said, oh, we have a film commission. Go talk to the film commission. I'm like, oh, don't send me back there, please. I know all about the film commission. And I kind of started explaining the structure of the film commission, and then they started looking into it and doing rapid assessments and seeing what's actually going on. So I think that they just thought things were fine. Yeah. Mr. Fletcher?
So you stated the problem, and
We need the mic.
but I don't know how your company makes any money in this. How does Keep It Moving produce money? What's your model?
Well, like I said, my model is really a city sanctioned. It would need to be a city sanctioned entity. We do have film groups already out there working towards building film communities. I've seen it done with other film groups. Keep It Moving when it necessarily start its own film group, maybe through trickle down if you know, the city is doing more in production, through a trickle-down effect, but my goal is really to, you know, get a job with the city of Sacramento in a city-sanctioned film office. That's my ultimate goal.
Are you looking for some form of policy change then? Are you basically asking the city to create some form of policy that creates a funding model for this new department?
Yes, looking for policy change.
Are you engaging with some policy makers or someone that can write you a policy as a proposal to give to the city? Because obviously you can't just go to the city and say, hey, we should do this. ... You know, like, you need to have some form of, like, you should do this, why, and this is the policy, and this is the revenue stream, and the way that the city could fund this. Are you actively engaging anyone?
Yes, and it all started with the Creative Edge grant that I wrote up. I said, you know, when I spoke to the moderator, they were like, you know, your grant can be whatever you want it to be about. So I wrote my grant about the need for a city-sanctioned film office, and then they started looking at the policy changes from there, and I mentioned the fact that we needed a streamlined, you know, permitting process for filmmakers and some of the other initiatives that we could use in the city. I went to speak at a Arts Commission meeting just on Tuesday, and they were very receptive to the idea. I let them know, you know, how difficult it is for filmmakers just to make a quick little video, and I told them my interest. I wanted to make a video for Fashion on Film, which is coming up next week. I just didn't have the support, wasn't able to pull it together, but I told them my idea was to use, because it's a James Bond theme, so my idea was to use innovative city modes of transportation like the jump bikes and like the scooters that are out and like the electronic vehicles. I actually reached out to Manushi here and was like, oh, can I use a tuk-tuk for my video? And the city just loved the idea of using city resources in a creative manner like filmmaking. So yeah, talking to him about all the different uses for filmmaking, not just for fun, but filmmaking for the purpose of highlighting the region and our resources.
Can I ask you, who have been your foes and who have been your friends? So I think I've
Oh.
Who have been, or if anyone, commission or whatever, has been marshaled against you? And have you identified any allies?
Well, I wouldn't say martial against me so much as an individual, but just against the film community as a whole. And I don't even know if I would phrase it as martial against the film commission. That just wasn't their mission. It just didn't tie into their mission. They don't receive funding from providing any local resources, so it's just something that they're not going to do. And it's something that I saw a need for. The community groups have been supportive. The film groups, they've been supportive. Our local access community media station has been supportive. They're looking to do more workforce training and getting the youth trained. So that's been the support system, is the film groups and our community media center.
So, kind of wondering, where's the, what do you see as the future immediately? Do you see change coming, or do you need to, like the previous speaker, do you need to write some policy to get it in front of city council, or what?
Well, I'm not a policy writer, but I would need to connect with the people who are creating policy, definitely. And like I said, they've already picked up on the idea. They like the idea. They're planning on an office. We just don't know who's going to be running the office. I'm just definitely letting them know it should be somebody local who's familiar with the existing film product.
Thank you.
And what's your idea? Who could help me?
I think we should talk later.
Okay, well, offline.
This is a question sort of jumping on Thomas's point there about local businesses that have something that they want to show. And I guess I'm wondering if there's ever been a thought about trying to find local businesses that have something that they want to show and filmmakers that want to film something, and bringing those people together. So if I knew I had Thomas's electric cars, then maybe I'm going to make a movie about electric cars, or I'm going to involve tut-tuts, or I'm going to like all of these other resources that are trying to get great video of their projects. How do we combine them and get them to the filmmakers that want to do stuff? You add that to as a resource that they can utilize.
Well, I definitely think it starts with, the policy and streamlining the permitting process. And then you can put programs together just like Fashion on Film. Fashion on Film was designed to bring together the fashion community and the film community, and now that's what they do, is they get together. So it would need to be something, an initiative that would need to be created, but we have models similar to what you're proposing. We would just need to change the players and put together the program.
All right. Well, thank you.